like highlighting, spotlighting these incredible people and solutions is still evolving as we go through the decade of change.
OMG, you guys. Just a minute ago, something wild went down at Buckingham Palace, and no one was prepared for it. The royal family? Yeah, they just dropped a bomb of an announcement, and honey, jaws are still on the floor. Whispers are already flying down the palace corridors. What's happening? Why now? The air is thick with speculation and suspense. One thing's for sure, though. After this, things will never be the same again. Let's dive into this mess because the second William and Kate opened their mouths, everything shifted. So the day started off all weird. People were feeling uneasy. Phones were going off like crazy. Journalists were scrambling, trying to get the tea. But get this, no one knew a thing. Like literally zero info, zilch. And if you know the royal family, you know they're usually buttoned up, controlled, every hair in place. But now, total blackout. They went dead silent. And trust me, that silence was loud, louder than any royal speech. News outlets extended their broadcast, pundits were called in, everyone trying to make sense of it, but nada, not a word. So naturally, the rumors exploded. Some were saying the king might be sick. Others whispered about an abdication. Was someone about to be thrown out? Or maybe someone unexpected was taking over? It was spiraling. No one had answers and the panic just grew. Even those closest to the royal circle were in the dark. That tight-laced PR machine, totally out of order. There were no instructions, no plan, nothing, like someone had just pulled the plug. And in royal circles, silence? That usually means trouble is brewing. Hours ticked by, and then bam, someone notices something off. William and Kate had missed an event earlier that day. At first, people didn't think much of it, but now, their absence felt deliberate, planned, ominous. People waited for King Charles or Queen Camilla to say something, anything, but no, crickets. So everyone's eyes turned straight to William and Kate. The vibe in the country changed. People weren't just curious anymore. They were bracing for impact. Like everyone could feel something big was about to break. It wasn't even the announcement itself that scared people. It was the creepy calm before it. The kind of silence that makes your stomach drop. Then, at 6:00 p.m. sharp, it happened. The royal family finally made their move. Screens lit up across the world, but surprise, it wasn't Charles. It wasn't Camilla. It was just William and Kate. No royal fanfare, no trumpets, no castles, no gold-plated nonsense, just the two of them, alone in a soft-lit room, no guards, no portraits of the queen, no crown jewels, just them. They looked calm, poised, but there was a fire in their eyes. William started speaking, his voice firm, serious, not cold, but definitely not playing around. He wasn't speaking like a prince reciting a script. He was speaking like a man who had made a decision and wasn't backing down. You could feel it in every word. Something had changed. Then Kate spoke.
How you've been able to cope really. And I put that down to your really early years, childhood experience.
And she wasn't begging for respect. Nope. She was just real, straight up honest. Her words, they shattered centuries of royal tradition. It wasn't about legacy or lineage anymore. It was about trust, about being human, not just being royal. She wasn't asking people to bow or pledge loyalty. She was showing what leadership could look like, no title required. And here's the wildest part. Charles and Camilla, they weren't even mentioned. Not once. No portraits behind them, no nods, no royal cosign, nothing. Just William and Kate standing on their own, and yet, somehow they felt more powerful than ever. They weren't overthrowing the monarchy, but they were redefining it, gently, quietly, boldly. Their message didn't echo through palaces. It buzzed through living rooms. It hit you in the heart. It wasn't rehearsed or robotic. It felt intimate, intentional, like they were sitting down with you and saying, this is where we're going. Come with us. Even after they finished, that heavy, haunting energy from earlier didn't just vanish. No, it turned into something deeper, something unforgettable. This wasn't a PR stunt. This was a turning point, and it left everyone stunned. And just when people thought it was over, William and Kate dropped a final line that hit like an emotional wrecking ball. Boom, done. Nothing would ever be the same again. And here's where it gets even messier. Turns out, William wasn't trying to rebel. He wasn't trying to drag down his father. He was just trying to do the right thing, period. But guess what? The public, they loved it. This fresh take on the monarchy, it hit different. People weren't craving tiaras and balcony waves. They were craving purpose, connection, realness. And honey, William and Kate gave it to them. So while the public was falling head over heels for this new monarchy too, inside the palace, oh babe, it was a completely different story. Word is, King Charles was struggling. And I'm not talking about a tantrum or a royal meltdown. This was deeper. He was having a full-blown identity crisis. Think about it. This man had waited his whole life to wear that crown. Decades of preparing, of stepping back, of playing the long game. And now that he finally had it, the spotlight was gone. Poof. Just like that. Not because anyone snatched it, but because people weren't looking at him anymore. They were looking at William, Kate, the new wave, the future. And Charles, he wasn't furious. He wasn't yelling or slamming palace doors. He was devastated, quietly. It was this heavy sadness, a silent grief, like he'd finally made it to the top, only to realize the crowd had moved on. And William, poor guy, he wasn't expecting it to hurt this much. He'd braced himself for a few arguments, a little tension, but this, being iced out by his own father, feeling like a disappointment instead of a leader, that cut deep. He wasn't trying to destroy the monarchy. He was trying to save it, keep the heart of it, the part that meant something. But instead of applause, he got silence. It stung. To Charles, William's actions felt like a loss, like a betrayal, and that broke William's heart. And then there's Camilla. Oh, Camilla. Where Charles was quiet and emotional, Camilla, she was on full defense mode, gloves off. Sources say she was furious, especially about the Diana initiative because, let's be honest, bringing Diana's name back into the spotlight, that wasn't just a tribute, it was a statement. And for Camilla, Diana's shadow had haunted her for years. Every article, every side eye, every public appearance. And now the name Diana was once again on everyone's lips and not hers. She was worried, defensive, determined to protect her place in this fragile royal world she'd worked so hard to be accepted into. She even wanted the initiative brought under official royal control, to be wrapped up, rebranded, managed by palace. But the advisors? They saw it for what it was, a disaster waiting to happen. If they tried to touch it, to control it, they'd look petty, bitter, jealous. They knew better, so what did they do instead? Nothing. Literally nothing. No support, no statement, no smiles for the cameras. They let the Diana initiative float on its own, hoping it would just fade away. But oh no, that's not what happened. William wasn't fooled by the silence. He saw it, felt it, understood it, and he didn't flinch. He kept going. He didn't ask for permission, didn't wait for approval. He just moved forward. This wasn't a rebellion, it was a redirection. He wasn't trying to burn the house down, he was trying to remodel it before it crumbled. But in doing that, the distance between him and Charles grew. Quietly, painfully. No big fights, no dramatic confrontations, just a growing emptiness. They were looking in opposite directions. Charles was clinging to the past. William, he was sprinting toward the future. And behind palace walls, the shift was undeniable. Suddenly, people weren't talking about King Charles anymore. They were talking about William and Kate. The headlines had changed. The focus had shifted. No one was speculating about inheritances or coronations. They were talking about impact, action, presence, purpose. Even the palace staff noticed. The press office, now more interested in Kensington Palace than Buckingham. Young royal staffers ditching Charles's events to work on Kate's projects, especially anything linked to Diana's legacy. Photographers who used to stalk Clarence House, now chasing after Kate and William. It wasn't mutiny, it was momentum. And let's talk about Kate for a second because, wow, this woman didn't post flashy Instagram stories or hold press conferences. She just showed up. She visited clinics, shelters, grieving families, kids in need. No cameras, no scripts, no PR teams, and yet everyone was talking. Stories started spilling out, not from tabloids, but from the people she helped. A teen girl who lost her mom said Kate just sat with her and listened. A shelter worker said she gave the warmest hug she'd felt in years. A nurse said she returned days later off the record just to check in. It was giving Diana energy, soft, strong, unshakably kind, and the palace, silent, still. That silence was louder than ever, and in that silence, Kate's warmth echoed louder than any royal decree. No scandals, no public fights. But make no mistake, this was a transformation. The crown was no longer just about jewels and titles, it was about trust. And the public, they were choosing William and Kate. This wasn't about popularity points. It was about humanity. William and Kate weren't waving from balconies anymore. They were kneeling in mud, hugging kids in flood zones, meeting exhausted parents in shelters. This wasn't just a shift. This was a quiet revolution. And girl, it was working. All right, so while the public was falling in love all over again with William and Kate's realness, there was one word echoing through the halls of the palace like a thunderclap: Diana. Yep, the Diana Initiative. And let me tell you, it wasn't just a tribute. It was a whole statement. A loud, bold, unapologetic revival of a woman the monarchy never really figured out how to handle. Kate didn't just want to remember Diana, she wanted to reclaim her. To give her legacy the power and visibility it truly deserved. This wasn't about bouquets at Kensington in August. This was about keeping Diana's heart beating in real causes, real actions, real people, and that hit nerves hard. Especially for Camilla.
Well, William and Kate's announcement follows Meghan and Harry's controversial sit-down interview. The video of their announcement getting hundreds of thousands of views.
The moment William and Kate launched the Diana Initiative, everything shifted. It was bold, it was emotional, it was raw and real in a way royal projects usually aren't. The kind of move that doesn't need trumpets to make noise. It speaks straight to the soul. Charles was stunned, totally blindsided. This wasn't the monarchy he envisioned leading. This wasn't his show anymore. But Camilla? Oh, she was spiraling. She'd spent years cleaning up her image, doing charity, walking the tightrope between duty and public scrutiny. And slowly, people had started to accept her. She had worked for that respect. And then boom, Diana is back, not as a haunting ghost, not as a tabloid name, but as a cause, a movement, a beloved symbol wrapped in compassion and authenticity. It rattled her. It wasn't malicious. William and Kate weren't trying to hurt anyone, but the second Diana's name took center stage, it poked at something deep in Camilla's heart. All the progress she'd made threatened. And whispers started flooding the palace. People weren't mad that William and Kate were gaining popularity. They were mad that they did it without permission. Without palace coordination, without Queen Camilla or King Charles giving the royal nod, they just did it. And Kate, she wasn't chasing headlines. She wasn't posting about her work. She was out there, quietly visiting clinics, sitting with mothers, hugging kids, showing up with grace and no entourage, no spotlight. But the stories, they started pouring out anyway, from the people. It was about making a difference now. And Kensington Palace, it became a hub, a movement, a symbol. This was a quiet revolution, built not on spectacle, but on substance. No war was declared in the palace, but the lines were drawn in whispers, in choice, in love. William and Kate didn't take the crown away. The people gave it to them. And now, we live in a time where the phrase, the people's queen, is whispered again. But this time, it's not just a nostalgic echo of Diana. It's about Kate, strong, soft, steady, not trying to be adored, just determined to do what's right. And next to her, William, not the heir waiting in line, but the man who stepped forward when the world needed a leader, not with a sword, but with a hand outstretched. Together, they didn't flip the monarchy upside down, they just finally turned it toward the people. So now, the real question is this the beginning of the end for the old guard? Much more the beginning of the future the monarchy desperately needed? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure. The day William and Kate made that announcement, something shifted in history. And we all felt it. In our homes, in our hearts, across borders and backgrounds, because what they created wasn't just a new kind of royalty. It was a reminder that leadership isn't about power, it's about presence. And the world is watching.